All right, here we are at week 2 on Carnivore. This is the longest I've done it so far. I've tried it a few times in the past. I've made it generally, I think the maximum before has been about 1 week, but coming up here to 2 weeks, 13 days today to be precise. Yeah, it's feeling easier. It's feeling better. I think, especially because of a little bit of a mindset switch of rather than just sort of resetting the day count every day when there's any little failure, any little slip up. I've just got my own internal sort of calibration of going, no, this is fine. This is just a little slip up, but I'm not resetting the count. I'm continuing the days. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that I'm having a complete day of just eating anything and everything and going, nah, I'll chalk that up as a day on carnivore. More so means that if I have a day, for example, where I might have, say, a thick shake, for example, but the rest of the day is carnivore, I'll just take that in stride and have that mindset of, okay, that wasn't great, that wasn't ideal, didn't really want to do that all up, but I'll just jump straight back on the horse and keep going. And so when I say 13 days, 14 days of carnivore, what do I mean? I think it's been a little bit dirty. It's not by any means sort of the ideal of where I'd like to get to, like the pure carnivore, and carnivore is such a broad term. It means a billion different things to a billion different people. You've got your just meat like steak, salt and water crew. You've got your meat and dairy included. You've got your meat can include all types of meat, seafood, pork, chicken, everything. My ideal that I'd like to get to at some point, and I'm not pressuring it too much now. I'm very happy with the results so far and with how I've been going with it so far. But my ideal is going to be to get, at least for a period, to see how it feels. That sort of steak, water, salt, just for that purity, I guess, just to get a feel for is there any difference. But for now, the first week has been pretty much, I've been having things like sausages, for example, that have got a little bit of other stuff. They've got probably a little bit of that grains in it, a little bit of that seasoning, those spices, herbs, all sorts of junk in them. But I've very much been taking that in stride and going, no, that's good. That's progress. That's as far as I'm concerned, eating just meat, and yes, granted with those little bits and pieces, and it's a stepping stone. It's a part of the process. So my first week, I also had quite a bit of dairy, like had quite a bit of cheese. Have been continuing to have a bit of dairy, so I've had some coffees with milk, for example, so far. Probably most mornings, if I'm honest, at least one a day. And I have had here and there, so I think 2 days I've had a thick shake, good old Macca's, McDonald's thick shake, 2 days, just one-offs. What else? I've had one day, one evening, which is probably the worst, probably the biggest step out, where I had a couple of drinks of alcohol. First I've had in those 2 weeks, a couple of drinks of alcohol, of some cider, a pretty dry, pretty sour cider, and some cheesels, some sort of chippy snacks for any Americans who don't know what that is. So that one was probably my biggest blowout, my biggest step away from it. And it was very tempting then to just go, oh no, I've screwed it up, let's reset. I thought, no, the progress is still coming. Let me keep rolling with it. A, for that motivation, and B, because I don't think a slip up in that way for that period makes a huge difference and undoes all the progress. So speaking of progress, what has that been like for me? Like I say, I think the first week I didn't notice a lot. You'll hear some other videos, you'll hear people raving about, day 1 I stopped snoring, day 2 I cured my cancer, or whatever it is. I didn't notice a lot. I didn't notice anything dramatic. I I did notice overall in that first week, which was a bit dirtier, so I had quite a bit of cheese in there. I had some sort of processed meats, some prosciutto and things like that. Was having some sausages, having some steaks in there as well. Bit of dairy in the milk and coffee. So it was a little bit messy, and I think to some degree that could account for pretty meager and small results. Lost a little bit of weight, maybe about a kilo or so all up. What else? I think sleep was a little bit better. Getting to sleep was a bit better. Getting to sleep and staying asleep was a bit better. Felt a little more well rested in the mornings, and overall just felt a little bit more consistent energy through the days, and a little bit more, I think, just an overall sense of well-being, of just feeling pretty level, but not in a boring, flat way, but in a positive, I feel good, everything's good, life is good, the world is good. Oh, this bad thing happened. Okay. Now, when I say that though, these have been over the first week. I think small things, to the extent that I've sort of been, as a psychologist, I'm very aware of placebo effects and the way the mind can play tricks on you with these things, with expectations. And to be honest, there's been so much going on over that first week, especially these last couple of weeks, that I haven't really thought about it too much. I haven't really thought about taking stock of things, of tuning into the whole carnivore journey and how things are going. So it hasn't been consciously on my mind that much, but whenever I've stopped and noticed, I've thought, it could be that. Is that at the level of placebo? Is it just the placebo effect? I'm expecting that, so I'm sort of feeling it. Or is it genuinely there? It's sort of been at that level where there's a little bit of a question mark for me of going, it's hard to tease out if there's anything dramatic or just anything smaller. Previously, a few months ago, when I'd done a few days, maybe up to a week of more pure carnivore, I remember feeling just like, I want to exercise, I want to move, and I haven't exercised for ages. Used to be right into it. Used to do all these sort of park workouts. But for so long, I just haven't really felt that. I haven't had much motivation to do much of anything. Just sort of grinding through the days, working, doing home stuff, doing chores, doing all that fun stuff. Just sort of grinding through and doing what I have to, but never felt that really intense energy to get out and do stuff and go, I want to get outdoors, I want to go for a hike, I want to get out and do some paddle boarding or something, or I want to get out and play sports, or I want to exercise. I haven't really felt that in the past. Maybe a few months ago I did feel that for brief windows, but this first week back, just last week, I didn't really feel that in any significant way. Like I say, lots going on, it's pretty busy. But didn't notice any huge push of just, I need to exercise, I need to get into this. However, as of the last few days, so coming up to the back half of week 2, I've been more conscious that my core food is just steak. Now I'm still having I'm having a little bit of soft drink, which is like all the zero sugar stuff, your zero sugar solas, your zero sugar, zero caffeine Coke. And I know, not great, well aware of that, but using it very much not as a place to go, cool, I'll just stick with that. It's very much a stepping stone down. It's very much an idea not to push it too much, but just to make it as easy on the self-control for me as I process through this. And it has helped. Being able to have that at night, especially with the zero caffeine, zero sugar Coke, has kind of hit that sweet spot, so to speak. That sweet spot of going, okay, I feel like I'm having a bit of a treat. I feel like I'm having something nice. Now, of course, still triggering those sweet taste receptors to keep those cravings going can be an issue. I haven't felt it significantly for me. I've had cravings. I've felt like, oh man, I could murder some chocolate right now. I could really go for some ice cream, whatever it is. And like I said, in the first week, slipped up a couple of times with a couple of thick shakes. So that's very much still there, and I'm aware that the zero sugar stuff still really hits that and keeps that going. But I'm very happy with the progress, very happy with using that as a step down. And in these last few days, where apart from that and apart from some milk and some coffee and a little sprinkling of cheese here and there, not every day, on some steaks, there's been a difference. So having mostly just the steaks for food over the last, let's say, 3-4 days, I've noticed that feeling coming back. I've noticed that, I just want to exercise, I want to get out there, I want to do something. That's really come back, and I've noticed the weight shift significantly more, significantly faster when I've switched to just steaks, even with that little bit of dirtiness, so to speak, with the zero sugar soft drink or the milk in the coffee. That's a real noticeable difference, that the weight just comes off so much easier. So I think that's the key, and I've noticed that previously when I've done it as well. This time, sort of leading up to Christmas and thinking, how am I going to handle that? I know last year I was on a good run leading up to Christmas, and then thought, well, just for Christmas Day I'll just go all out. That all out for Christmas Day became all out for Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and then the day after the Boxing Day, and then the Boxing Day, and then, well, I'm basically through to New Year's, I might as well keep going, and then that was a write-off for the rest of the year, never got back onto it. So, going to start thinking about how I handle Christmas, but feeling really good. One thing that I found really helpful when my wife or when other people offer me something is just a very quick, the power of a quick no, of just a quick no, I'm good, thanks, has been huge. There's no like, maybe I'll have a little bit, I'll see how I go, maybe later. It's just like, no, I'm good, thanks. Just heading off at the pass, any of those thoughts that can come up, any of those rationalizations of, well, maybe if I just have a little bit of this, or yeah, maybe I can because of this, or what about this? Don't even entertain the thought. It's just a quick, no, I'm good, thanks. And I've been out for dinner a couple of times and I've made it work. I went, of all places, to an Italian restaurant, looked at the menu and just went, oh crap, how's this gonna work? There's just pizza and pasta, that's all it is. What I did find was a sort of antipasto platter, so technically an entree, and a couple of people did give me some strange looks like, you're just getting an entree? But I loaded up just one of those, cured meats, but sort of make it work, you do what you can. Just a lot of cured meats, a lot of cheeses. I just had that to myself. People wanted to share because they thought it was a share platter, and look, I let them, but I knew that was coming, so I loaded up a bit extra on it, sort of added on the order some extra burrata, this sort of cheese, similar to mozzarella, I guess, and loved it, and was really full on that, was really satisfied. So even with social things, so far so good. I had a night recently, was sort of volunteering stuff for the church and being a waiter and eating the food they were serving up, sort of back behind the scenes when we got our breaks, and all of that was just carb loaded. There was just heaps of pasta, everything mixed through, and with that, again, with the meat elements of those dishes, were there sauces on those that were not ideal? Yes, absolutely. But I just ate the meat parts and left the rest, put it away with the other leftovers to clear away, and that was fine. Again, is that ideal because it had the sauces and everything with the meat? No, clearly not. Would I in future avoid that altogether? Possibly. I considered just eating nothing that night and would have been fine with it. And regardless of whether I've been carnivore or not, in the past, especially when I've been keto so many times before, I've just gotten into the habit when I'm keto, when I'm not keto, it's just been easy for me to skip meals and feel fine and get through it. Yeah, I've just got a habit. I've been skipping breakfast since years ago, before intermittent fasting was sort of in the zeitgeist, was a common thing. Just doing that without even realizing why, just felt like it, just felt good. Just never felt like eating breakfast. Would often, to work schedules, just skip breakfast, skip lunch, and that was fine. So I'm well used to that. That's fine. Look, so far so good. 2 weeks in, I'm keen to keep it going, and especially to just progressively over time, just sort of tighten down on these elements, like just slowly stepping down off any of the zero sugar things. My plan also is to slowly step down on any caffeine at all, on any coffees. Maybe next stage is to prioritize just long blacks, so there's nothing else, there's no dairy, there's no milk with those. Step down off the cheese as well. Right now I'm having barely any cheese, maybe a little sprinkle of mozzarella on top of a steak, and that's it. And also plans to prioritize steak, to just get steak. Yeah, maybe here or there, especially if I go out, to make do with whatever I can. Still early days, so with those sort of dirty elements, I haven't noticed any big reactions. The one thing I did notice when I had those couple of cans of cider, within an hour or two, I could just feel the headache. The reaction to it was so much stronger than I've ever had. It was almost like I got a hangover, which I honestly rarely get. I haven't had one for years, really, because I just don't generally drink enough to get one. But I felt it within a couple of hours, just this headache down the back of my neck. And I don't know if that was the alcohol or sort of the cheese as well. I think probably the alcohol. But that was really telling. I think I'm going to have wine some nights here and there, maybe some champers, some champagne. There's some stuff to celebrate coming up. But yeah, I'll be really curious what the effect is with the alcohol there, how much more intensely I feel it, how much more sensitive I am to it. But so far so good. All up, over 2 weeks or just under 13 days today, I've lost, what are we sitting at? 3.5 kilos, which is huge. Now obviously a big portion of that's going to be the water weight, but I can notice already. I can see just the way I feel in my t-shirts. Just feels a little tighter, less bloated. Yeah, so good start, good progress. Really happy with it. Yeah, and again, mindset shift. Has it been perfect? No. In the past, I would have beaten myself up about that. Reset, start again, go, no, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be all or nothing. You've got another 2 weeks, pretty good, bit of a rocky path, but it's felt easier. And I think a large part of that is, number one, having more time, having more morning time and quiet time to focus on this. And also, I think having that mindset of it's not all or nothing. You keep going, you don't reset, you just keep it going. If it's a significant enough blight, if it's an all-day thing or even a half-day thing, yeah, look, then I'd probably have to call it and go, no, look, that doesn't count. But when it's just a little bit, then I'm going to keep it rolling. I'm going to keep counting it, keep going through. Just make a note and be transparent about all of these things along the way too. Yeah, so that's it. Stay tuned. I think there's more coming, and I'm keen to dig in more to the self-control side of it and the psychology side of it, the psychological aspects of the effects, and also the causes, what can help in getting there. So stay tuned, and yeah, hope there's good updates on the way.